edit. Hey guys, this is Ress and Nique, and this is She Wolf Alchemy. And today we are talking about arguing and arguing fairly. So, essentially, what we mean when we say arguing fairly is when both parties are like given a chance to speak their concerns and issues and actually be listened to. There's no interruption. There's no one making facial expressions, throwing their hands up, rolling their eyes, showing obvious annoyance. And both parties are actually sitting, listening, thinking about what is being said to them, what's being presented to them before they react. Okay? So that is what we mean when we say arguing fairly. So first, let's start off. Nique, do you think you argue fairly?
Now I think that I do. In the past, definitely not. Like, I don't think I will listen. I just want to get my point across, but I never purposely try to hurt anybody. For the most part, I just try. I just try to point across, and I think I might not be arguing fairly when I'm trying to get my point across and I don't feel like I'm being heard, and then that's when it starts to get kind of rough. But lately I don't feel like I argue much. But then that leads me to are you talking about the problems? If you're not talking about it, I mean, you don't have to argue, but I don't feel like I argue much. I think I try to just stay away from the problems lately.
Yeah.
And that's my thing, but that's not good either. But for the most part, when I'm having a conversation or an argument, I attempt to listen and I attempt to get my point across without being too angry.
Okay. And I think that's pretty much the truth for you. I think there was a time where you didn't argue fair. But I think definitely now. But also, like you said, you avoid arguments. You avoid confrontation.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I do not argue fair, but it's because I don't argue. In the past, I did not argue fair. I would aim low. Like if you took me there, I would aim low. Now I wouldn't start off there, but definitely if I felt like whoever I was arguing with wasn't listening to my point, was shouting over me, or when I'm talking and making expressions and I'm like, okay, so you gonna bring out my Gemini. And I would be like, okay, so let's talk about mamas. And I would go there. And I think that's why I don't argue now. I had this therapist who I love. I really wish I could still go to him. And he used to talk to me about that. He used to always just hold his temples, especially when we got on the subject of relationships. And he was just like, you said what to this man? And I'm like, yeah. And he was just like, you can't keep going for that man's ego. I'm like, well, I mean, I can because I keep doing it.
Right.
Which don't do, guys. It's horrible. But me and him got
Please
to
don't.
A point. Yeah. Me and him got to a point though in therapy where he was just like, I keep teaching you these skills, you're not using them. So how about you just walk away until you can calm down and talk? And that's what I do now, except for I just don't come back and talk about it, which is bad.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things where it's hard for me to decide if what I'm doing is immature or if what I'm doing is hey, I'm stopping this before it becomes World War III. Because I know when I get highly emotional, it's either I'm gonna shut down, but if you force me to talk about it, I don't know how far I'm gonna go.
Right.
So in my head, it's I'm shutting down to protect both of us.
But then you never come back to it. So do you think that you said you don't think it's healthy though?
I don't think it's healthy. I really don't think it's healthy. I know it's not healthy because you do need to talk about things.
Right.
Because when you don't talk, even with you, when you avoid conflict, eventually it builds up into resentment. It builds up into resentment, and over time you just start all the things that were left unsaid are going to build up to this big blow up. So I do.
So that makes it 10 times worse.
Yeah. And so I do think you need to come to a point where you can talk about it, but also like it has to be when you're able to talk about it calmly, and that's when that's that whole, do I know if I can talk about this calmly right now?
Yeah. That's why I think your therapist was onto something about walking away, but you have to do the follow-up and actually come back, even if it's like the next day to talk about it.
I'm doing
because
better.
Yeah,
I'm doing a
yeah,
lot.
You definitely are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I definitely feel like last year I learned to come back to things a lot more. But you know what? There's certain things that if you give me to this level of anger, I'm done.
Yeah.
And it's like, because I don't ever want to be connected with somebody, whether it be a colleague, a friend, a romantic partnership, even a family member, where you can take me to a level where now my peace is disturbed, and now I feel like I'm about to revert to a version of me that I have already surpassed.
Yeah.
And that's where I kind of struggle, because when you love people, you need to learn that people are going to make mistakes, that people are going to say things that hurt you, that you're going to get into some type of conflict. You have to learn, like, hey, especially I think when you talk about getting married, there are definitely going to be times where a person takes you to that level. Unfortunately, it shouldn't be a normal thing. But for me,
but it happens sometimes.
Yeah, I think if you've been together 20 years, it's going to happen.
Definitely, yeah.
So I think you need to learn how to do that. But like, so far, I'm just not there yet. Like right now, if you take me to a certain level, I am very much able to be like, you know what? I decided I don't love you no more, and I will just get up and, as y'all know, walk away. And I will go about my business. And I will go about my business. And I think that's that unfair fighting, because you don't even give the person a chance to make things right.
Or hear their side and actually listen. But do you think you listen and hear the other people out, though?
If I come back, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, if you can manage to get me to come back, yeah, I'll listen to your side.
Yeah. I just hate, like for me, with relationships, I guess I hate when I give you your turn and you don't have anything to say. That right there makes me angry. Like, this is
Which
your
is why
time.
we could never be in a relationship, because I am definitely the person that's like, well, I heard what you said, so.
Yeah. But what do you have to say?
like all I have to say to that is like, damn, I'm sorry you feel that way.
Yeah.
You can't do that to people.
Yeah. And that's when I have to get, like, when you step away, I step away because I don't hear what I don't get a response. So I was like, I can't do this because I'm about to cuss you. And I don't like cussing people out. So I had to just get out of there.
Yeah, I think that's definitely how you argue. But for the most part, I do think you avoid it. But also I avoid it, but we avoid it for different reasons. I think. I will say though, when it comes to friends, I feel like I fight a lot fairer. One, because I'm not a person that has 20, 30 friends. I'm not a person that has like 10 friends. I keep a very small group. And so for me, I'll explain this way. Growing up, I moved a lot. So when it came to friends, like I've never been someone that has to hold on to people, because I was used to having to let go of people. Yeah. So like when I was younger, when friends would wanted to argue or whatever, like, yeah, and this happened and blah blah blah. She's like, all right, well, okay, I guess we're not friends no more, and I would go away. And I think the older I got, the more I learned to okay, we need to talk. This is how is this how you're feeling? Is this what's going on? I notice this. Let me know. I never want to put you in an uncomfortable situation. That sort of thing. I feel like I have more of those conversations now. Even on the episode when you were gone for your birthday, I talked about a friendship that took me like 3 years to officially end. And I feel like when that friendship, I was constantly like, hey, let's talk about this. Now, don't get me wrong, I still have my moments where I'm just back away until I can gather my thoughts.
Yeah.
But with friends, I feel like now as an adult, I come back to it. After I've calmed down, after I thought about it, after I was like, you know what, let me look at their perspective before I come at them, before I address the situation. Let me think what sides they could be possibly coming from. And then I circle back around. It's more relationships where I'm like, you really optional. I really don't have to deal with this. So
Yeah, I think that's how I am with relationships too. But like with friendships, I mean I do have many friends, but I only have maybe two close friends. So that's just you and one other person. So it's just like with when I argue, it's more like I actually listen to my friends, but I have facial expressions because I can't hide my face. That's my downfall.
yeah,
Like with one of my friends, like I get loud, she gets loud, but we don't like disrespect each other. We try to hear each
yeah,
other out.
yeah,
I actually hear each other out, and then we talk, and then after both of us like we reflect, and I might say, I want to apologize for this because I didn't want to come off this way. Then she'll say like, that didn't offend me or anything. So I think I'm way more conscious, like, or nice with my friends than I am with like a mate.
yeah.
But with my family, I don't argue. I don't even think I say much. Like me and my sister have argued before, and then it took a long time for either of us to apologize. But it's just awkward. I don't know. But
But also,
like
you have your siblings. You guys are close in age.
yeah, we are.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so that makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
I know, like, I'm the same way though. I don't argue with family. I'll tell you, I will cut a family member off so quickly. But it's because I live very far away from family, and that's how it's been most of my life. Like, I've always, until maybe up until the age of like 6, 7, I lived close by family. Like, all of us lived within 5 minutes of each other, it seemed like. And
Right.
my mama got like 7 siblings. So all of us live within 5 minutes of each other. But after that age, I no longer live close to family. So one, I didn't have a lot of opportunity. And then my siblings, we're all so spread out.
Yeah.
Like, I'm 29. I have a sibling that is, I think, turning 43 this year.
Wow.
And I have a sibling that's turning 13 this year. So it's
I didn't know the
extremely
oldest
spread
one
out.
was that old.
That's not even my oldest.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, but you got to remember, my parents had me in their 30s.
Yeah.
Your parents are still young.
Yeah, they had me when they were 19 and 21 though. Yeah.
Yeah, like my biological dad's almost 70. So
I did not know that. Realize
yeah.
that. And my nana is 70 something.
Yeah. See, my grandparents are in their late 90s.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And I think sometimes we forget that when we're talking.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
But your mom still seems like my mom's age.
You said what?
But your mom doesn't seem like that old.
No, my mom is very youthful. I think my mom is 64 now, or okay. 64, 60. She's between 63 and 65. And no, my mom is very youthful. My mom, in my dad, my stepdad, who I grew up with, that's who I typically call dad. They're both very youthful. They're both very, very active. But even my grandparents, like my granddad, I think is 98.
Right.
And like before 2 years ago, he got up every Saturday and went garage sale shopping in the summertime. And like that was his thing when I used to go visit him. That's what we would do. We would get up, and they have a whole garage. Like they don't even use the garage to park cars, and they both still have cars.
Wow.
Yeah, my dad doesn't let them drive anymore. Every blue moon, my granddad will sneak out and drive. And the only reason we'll know is because he has dementia, and he'll call on his cell phone like, I don't know where I am. And he'll just call whatever the last number it was in his phone. And it's usually my dad, because my dad pretty much takes care of them now. But
And that's good. He can at least do that. He's not as far
yeah,
gone as my grandpa.
yeah. You know what? Dementia is one of those things that is just because I feel like even with you, I remember when your granddad started losing his memory. At first, it was like, I think this, and the doctors, if I'm not mistaken, the doctors kept being like, well, no, and then it was like, oh yeah, and that's how it happened with my granddad too. Like
Yeah.
for a while, we were like, no, he did not know who we were for like a whole hour.
Exactly.
And then all of a sudden he came back, no, there was a whole time where he thought it was 1972. Like, there was a whole 2-day period where...
You keep forgetting that he's the only
Yeah.
sibling left and everything like that. And it's hard to keep reminding him that his brother and sister are gone. It's just, that's a whole nother.
That's a whole nother topic.
It's a sad one though. Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, they're very youthful, but no, they're older. There's times me and you will be talking and I'd be like, I forgot her parents like 48. Like, I completely forgot your parents are young. Because your mom
my mom is 55 though. Well, she'll be 55 this month. Yes.
You guys, her mama out every weekend,
right,
like on vacation. We'll be talking. I'm like, hey, can you get your mom to watch your kids? She's like, my mama is in Georgia right now.
She's in your side of town. Right, exactly. This igloo party she's going to. I'm like, what? She turns up more than me.
Yeah. No, my parents don't turn up. They do not.
Matter of fact, she was like, you think you want to ride down with me? Maybe you could just go hang with Caress. I said, Mommy, that's because I'm doing something for my sister's birthday. But I was just laughing because she just like trying to get me to drive down there with her and trying to use you as the you can maybe just go hang with Caress, lady.
Your mama stay on go. I remember one time, guys, I promise we're going to get back on subject. I remember one time, me and you, so guys, in Cincinnati, they have this big thing called the Jazz Festival. I think they changed the name to the Macy's Music Day Festival now. But there was one time, like, I was working at the office, and one of the guys I worked with, like, was friends with a presenter or whatever, and it was like a day before the concert, and it was a lot of people there. It was like Kim, R. Kelly. I know that's controversial now. we didn't know.
Yeah, back then.
we didn't know back then. But it was R. Kelly. I think Fantasia was there. Charlie Wilson, and it's like a huge lineup of like R&B soul singers or whatever. And it was like the day before, and I was like, "Yo, this guy in my office can get us tickets." And you're like, cool. You guys, I did not know her mama was coming with us. And I was like, so ready to turn up, and I saw you with your mom. Because I know you told me to get, I think I ended up having to get 4 tickets, but in my head, I had no idea it was for your mom.
I thought I told you
with us. Your mom was having her own little fun.
Because she went to the Chris Brown concert with me and my friends before. So it's just like, I guess that's what happens when you have children young, though. So you didn't ever get to experience that life because you've been having kids since you were 19. So
yeah, no. See, when I came around, my parents had a mortgage.
Right, they lived their best life, right?
they were doing some things. They were already grown. I would, matter of fact, my age right now, I still would not have existed for another like 3 years.
Wow. Yeah. You said 30 what?
I think my mom had me at like 32. And my dad was like 35, 36.
Yeah. I'm 33.
Yeah. I mean, but it's the same. Like when I talk to my siblings and stuff, sometimes they forget how old I am.
But you're way more mature for your age, so.
But also that's because I grew up with people who were so much older than me. And I was the only baby.
Yeah.
Even with the rest of my family, like our generation, I'm the baby. And the closest person to me in age is like 5 years older than me. Cousin-wise. So like I had to, because I was getting on everybody's nerves. So I had to learn.
You had to mature up, right?
Yeah.
Even my mom was like 30. I said, yeah, she's a baby.
But you know what? I was looking at this post earlier that one of my friends posted. She's older. She's like 48. And she had posted this thing, like in the course, it was a girl like on a cruise with glasses looking glamorous. And it was like me on the cruises at 45 while my friends are raising 8-year-olds. And I was like, yes, because I did the
Can't wait.
calculations. And when I turn 44, my baby will be out the house. And I know what y'all thinking, but maybe she'll stay. Hell no, the fuck she won't. She will she will be out the house.
She'll be 18.
She will be 18. When I'm 44, she will be 18. And that's why I keep saying, because I keep saying this, if I don't have another kid by the time my daughter turns 7, oh well. Like, any man I meet after that, like, you gonna have to not want your own kids or already have kids. Because things are getting tied and burned. Like, I'm not...
You feel me?
Yeah.
Like, 7 is too, yeah.
I don't think I'll have the energy past 4 more years.
Me either.
To do the whole not sleeping for a year thing.
Girl, a year? Well, you had a year was for you. I'm still not sleeping. So, and she's 3. So, yeah. Hopefully the next one is better than this first one. If I ever have another one.
Let me just say also, though, I kept telling you not to let her sleep in the bed with you, and you didn't listen. Because I was putting her in the crib. I didn't care. I was getting up every 10 minutes to put her back in the crib and walk back to our room.
I think I was lazy.
What we're not gonna do.
I was clingy. I was clingy to her. Now she's super clingy to me. And I was lazy and nursing. And it's but that's, yeah. We digress.
But no, let me quickly just say, I'm like so jealous though, because my baby is not clingy. My baby don't care about what me and her daddy will do. Like, she'll go to the park and we'll like try to hold her hand, and she'll just shake her hand off, and she'll just go play for like an hour without even thinking about where I am.
Sometimes I wish I had that life. No, I have to be interacting with her the whole time, and she'll talk about kids. Like, what are they doing, mommy? How about you go over there and talk to them?
No, my baby be going up to people and she's like, hi, I'm Kari, friends, and then we'll just grab their hand and walk off. And then it hurts my heart because sometimes she does it to kids who are like your daughter, who are just like, well, who are you? Why are you talking to me? And she doesn't understand. Like, she doesn't understand why people are like not trying to be her friend and not trying to play.
But she cracks me on. She'd be like, oh, well. Yeah. I'm like, at least you like, girl, bad. Okay, live your life.
She a whole trip. She a whole trip. Okay, arguing fairly. I know y'all don't care. That does not.
Right.
I promise. They're hilarious.
Yeah, they should have their own show. They say the really craziest things.
By the way, I might give Kari her own show because Kari likes watching. So I don't know if you guys know this, but there's YouTube channels for like toddlers where there's other toddlers with their own like toddler YouTube reality show. I don't know if y'all know this is a thing, because before I had a child, I had no idea. And so there's this one kid called Ryan, and he'll get up and he'll be like, hi guys, I'm Ryan, and today me and my parents are gonna go play with Play-Doh. And so my daughter loves Ryan. She watches Ryan like every day. And there's only 6 seasons. So every week we're watching it like all 6 seasons at least 3 times. And she will like, I'll be at my office. I'll be at my desk, and I have a desk at home, like little mini office at home. And I'll be at my office and I'll be typing, and I have a mirror next to my desk. And she'll just walk up to the mirror and go, hi guys, it's Kari. And then she'll just turn and toss, and I'm just like, okay, baby, it's the mirror. It's not a TV. Like, no one's watching you. But she says it all the time. She'll just go randomly in the room, go, hi guys, it's Kari. I'm gonna talk to mommy. And she'll walk over to me. And I'm like, oh, we gotta get you watching something else. Yes. I gotta get you interacting with other people.
We have to get them together because Journey still said that's her best friend.
No, she does too. She just, where's Journey? Journey's with her mama. Oh, they come visit? No, baby. No, baby. Okay? Because it costs money. Okay. Sorry, guys.
We're getting back.
But yeah, so no, I was saying family. I definitely, same thing. I don't argue with family, but it's like I don't have to. I don't see family enough for us to ever argue. And the people that I know I don't get along with, they live far away. Like, I don't have to see them. Yeah. You know? Unfortunately, like, because my family lives all over. And when I say all over, guys, I mean, I got folks in Barbados. I got folks in Guyana. I got folks in London. I got folks in Canada, Texas, Ohio, Chicago. Like, my family is... I got folks in India. Like, my family's all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, it's not even like, oh, but you gotta see them at Christmas and Thanksgiving. Like, no, there's some people I have not physically seen in like a decade. So with family, I don't argue, but it's really because like I don't have to. And then with the people that I do talk to, like I talk to my mom every single day. I talk to my dad every single day. I think I have gotten an argument with my parents, my dad maybe once since I was an adult. And he didn't really argue back. He was just like, where did that come from? And then I immediately apologize because it's my dad and I love him. And then my mom, I don't argue with her. Like I love my mom so much, but we're so different. Our perspectives in the way that we see things, we talk is so different. My mom is actually a lot like my daughter. My daughter's a lot like my mom. And so I just let my mom say her thing. Mm-hmm. And I'm usually on the phone rolling my eyes. And then I was like, all right, well, I gotta go now. and then I just drop it. Because I think, know I'm gonna talk to her tomorrow.
Yeah, I think that's the same way. But I don't really argue. But I, like, as I got older, I started to speak up for myself, like, to my mom or to my grandma. Those are the people that I talk to the most. Like my grandma, like, she has stuff to say, and I just tell her how I'm feeling, and we just leave it there. And she'll like, we're just gonna drop it. We're just gonna drop it, but I'm gonna say what I want to say. But I don't like be disrespectful, but I just say what I want to say. Like, I don't think, like, in our family we don't argue, but we don't talk about our problems. But I think I'm like the only vocal one. Like, my sisters will not say anything to my grandma or my mom. But if I feel a certain type of way, I'm gonna say how I feel. But I think it's because my mom and my grandma we're all three the oldest, so we probably butt heads that way because we're all like headstrong. Yeah, but I say I'll let it slide for a long time, but then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna have to tell you this. Like, you're not gonna do this, and this. But then this is like they don't say nothing back, so I'm like, I don't know how y'all taking this, but I'm gonna say, and they might talk to each other about me, but then.
You don't even know. They got a whole private group chat.
I'm sure my mom called my nana or my nana called my mom. Like, Johnny was moody today. Like, they just take it as I'm moody. No, but I'm gonna say what I want to say. So, but it's never an argument. But if I feel like disrespected or something, I'm gonna try. I speak up for myself more. But other than that, with my dad, when he had a problem with something I did, he just told me. We talked about it, and that was it. But I never really had problems to say anything to my dad. But when he feels like a certain type of way, like, for instance, when I moved back home, and I had a guy to come. He drove his car up, and I came outside, and then I got caught outside. And my dad said, I know you're grown now, but you ain't gonna be having no dude come to my house, this, blah, blah. And it was like, okay, I apologize for doing that, and that's it. But other than that, like, he didn't really say any much. I never had a reason to argue with my dad because my dad's super laid back. He just tell me how I feel, we'll talk about it, and that's it. But other than that, I don't really argue with my family. I kind of just say how I feel and leave it there, and then just back away.
Yeah, but you know, the difference is, like, I feel like when you were younger, you were very quiet and shy.
Yeah.
You didn't say anything, and then you grew into that. Versus when I was younger, I was very much like, y'all don't hear what's on my mind.
Mm-hmm.
And then I feel like I grew the opposite way.
Yeah.
Because I realized, like, oh my gosh, even though I was a good child, especially compared to my siblings, I was very much a good child. But what ended up happening is, because of my role in the family, where I felt like I had to be the achiever. Because my siblings in the household I grew up, because I had siblings that grew up in another household, because my parents divorced and so forth. But the siblings in the household I grew up in just did the opposite of whatever my parents said. So I felt the need to have to be that child that was like, see, I'm doing this. Like you guys asked, I'm following the rules. But because I had all of that pressure, every now and then I would have to be like, okay, so what we're not going to do. And then they'll be like, you're 14, so what you are going to do. And I'll do it. But every now and then they did have to deal with my mouth.
I think that's what it was. I was quiet for so long. It's just like, nah, I can't be quiet no more.
Yeah, I can't. See, I am trying to work up on speaking because, not so much with my mom. I'm able to speak with my mom. We don't argue though, but I'm able to address things with her.
Mm-hmm.
And for example, like one thing me and my mom keep getting into is like finances. And it's because, by my age, my mom had already had a house. My mom had a business and so forth. Well, no, but in like 2 years, she was like gonna have a business and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I keep trying to explain to her, like, hey, it cost me $36,000 a year to get my graduate degree.
Right.
I also
Mm-hmm.
have undergrad, things like that where I'm like, yes, but like also, we grew up in two different worlds.
Mm-hmm.
You went to college in the 1940s or whatever, and
Right.
it was a lot cheaper.
Not 1940s though, but okay.
Right. But also, my mom grew up with 7 siblings, so it was like, hey, you had family that took care of your child. You weren't paying $800 for daycare a month.
Exactly. Yeah.
And my child's father is great. He's helpful. He does his part, but it's still like it's very expensive to live on your own in a different city, not have a lot of physical support,
Mm-hmm.
and be a parent on top of that. Because, and I tell me and her get into it all the time about this, because she's like, you make good money. I'm like, I make good money on paper, but the government takes out this much money of my paycheck a month. Right. So first of all, I don't bring home that. And then also just like, I'm like, you don't understand. Daycare is now, my child's currently not in daycare because me and her father are both working from home right now. But we got her into a cheaper daycare because we both moved to a different area. And me and him always try to move in the same area, so we're always close enough to help each other. But before, like, there was a point in time we were paying $1,000 for daycare a month. Like when she was a newborn, it cost $1,000 a month. Mm. And so like little stuff like that, me and her, like, I'll have to be strong in the way that I talk to her, because like when I was talking about getting a house, and I was like, I really feel like I need to wait more because, my savings isn't there. And she's just like, I don't understand. And you make good money, you got a good job, and blah, blah, blah. And I was just like, ma'am, I don't know why my car insurance is so high, but it's high. I don't know. I don't get in car accidents.
But then, yeah. And then
like I have to pay for childcare.
Yeah. And childcare being $1,000, and that's like a whole mortgage or rent. So it's just like, that's a lot of money.
Yeah. Even when you split it with the other parent, that's still $500.
And I don't think too, like, your mom was married, my mom was married, and I don't think they understand the struggle of being a single mom. I mean, it's not their struggle to understand, but they have to be more lenient on us because we don't have it like y'all.
Yeah. And yeah, because your mom's been married her whole adult life.
Yeah, her whole life. High school, graduated, then married.
Yeah, and my mom has pretty much been married most of her adult life. My mom has always been in committed relationships. Yeah. Because before she got married, my dad, she was in a relationship with someone she was with for like 4 or 5 years. And then she got married, and my mom is never single for long. Like,
and the thing with us, no, we've been single.
She was married twice, but there was, men snatch her up. So it's like, yeah, like also, I don't think either one of them understands what it's like being a single woman, not even just with kids. Yeah. Because every now and then my mom will say something like, about marriage and dating, and I'm just like, y'all not, if your sisters and them and your friends would have raised their sons right, then maybe we can talk about it.
And that's the thing too, like, I don't think our moms were ever as independent on ourselves as we do. Like, your mom was self-sufficient. Like, your mom always had her shit together. But I'm saying, like, we literally been single most of the time. We literally had to handle our own shit the whole time. My mom never had to handle her own shit. She always had my dad. So it's just like, you don't understand. So like, that's the thing too. We don't argue about it, but I say what I have to say. My mom said, I ain't never eat out that much when I had you, when you was a kid, but you had daddy to do such and such and such and such, and you can cook while daddy's watching the kids. It's only me. I'm tired. We gotta do what we gotta do. Like, we ate at this dinner table every day. Okay, but I'm tired. We gotta eat. We gotta bathe. We gotta watch a little bit of TV. We gotta do all this in one time, because it's like, it's not two people in a home. So it's just like, I don't argue with my mom. I just say what I say, and then she kind of just be quiet. But your mom has to speak her opinion to you.
Yes.
My mom is just like quiet, and I don't really like that either because I want you to say what you want to say, but I want you to understand me too. So I don't even know if you even understand to be like, are you even listening? I don't like that either, but I don't know.
See, I would very much wish my mom would be quiet, but she does not. That is just not in my.
I mean,
That
I
is
want
not
to
in my family
still hear what you
tree.
had to say, but your mom
Yeah.
is. You gonna hear what she got to say though.
Yeah, and my mom does not fight fair, and that's why I think I don't fight fair.
Yeah,
Because my
yeah,
mom will talk
and
over me. My mama will, and then I'll be like, "Mom," I'll do a thing where I'll just stop talking after she talks, and she'll just be like, "Why aren't you talking?" I was like, "Well, because I was in the middle of a point, and so I just never know when you're going to jump in." And she's like, "You know what, Cress?"
definitely, yeah.
And then she'll jump in, and yeah. So what? Yeah, with moms, it's more conversation. It's not really an argument, but I'm the opposite because with my dad, I am such a daddy's girl that even when I'm mad at my dad doesn't know. Because I have such a interesting dynamic with him. And again, I'm speaking of my stepdad when I say dad, where like he really is my superhero, but as an adult, I also realize how flawed he is and was. Versus when you're a child, there's a lot of stuff that adults hide from you because they're like, they're a kid, they don't need to know this. We don't need to ruin their fairy tale. And so then when you become an adult, there's certain things that you're like, hold on. And it's hard to bring it up because it's like, now I'm 29. I can't be mad at you about, this thing that happened 15 years ago. But even now when my dad does stuff that I'm angry about, it's very hard for me to talk about it. And I usually just brush it under. Like I just don't. Me and him got into it once. And it's because it was a religious conversation. And it's because me and him have different religious ideas. And there's some things he was saying that I'm like, me and you have had this conversation. We both agreed this was bullshit. So the fact that you did a whole 180 and now are trying to push this on me, and I'm just like, no, I remember very clearly. And also there was a situation where they had forced me to go as an adult to a religious event that I did not want to be at, and I had an anxiety attack, and I had to leave in the middle because I had an anxiety attack in the middle, and I had told them, I do not want to be here. It causes me stress. It's like PTSD for me. And after that, me and him had gotten into an argument, and I just argued. He just kind of stood there and was like, "You ain't never talked to me this way," because I don't. I never talk to my dad that way. But other than that, no. He doesn't even know when I'm mad half the time.
Same with my dad. He doesn't really. I think it's a daddy's girls type thing. Are you like, I don't want to hurt your dad? Yeah. So I never remember a time I really, really argued with my dad or it gave him a piece of my mind.
It's hard when you're a daddy's girl. It really, really is. But yeah, I think that's something with my siblings, we don't really argue, but also we have completely different problems.
Yeah.
Again, there's like at least a 10-year age gap between me and most of my siblings. I have a pair of siblings that are like going through puberty. And they're trying to figure that out. I'm just like, bro, stick it out. I don't know. Like, that's the best I can give them. And then I have another, set of older siblings that are like, yeah, my 401k. And I'm like, yeah, I probably need to start looking into that because I keep taking mine.
Me too.
And they're like, don't do it because the interest and blah, 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 and stocks. And I'm like, okay, bro. So now I have stocks again. I have done stocks before, by the way, and it kept giving me like a heart attack because I was watching it every day.
Yeah,
and it's very stressful when you're watching it every day. So I'm doing it again, and I put my money in, and then I just deleted the app. And I'm like, I'll check back in a couple months. Just see what happened. But yeah, that's what my siblings are like talking about, and I'm just there like, okay, did anybody bring tequila? Like, why you guys are discussing big kid stuff?
Right.
Yeah, so we don't argue. I don't even really get a chance to argue with them. But it's definitely now relationships. Relationships is where I have my biggest like argument type moment.
That's the only one. It seems like the most.
Oh yeah. And it's I think one. when you're trying to build your life with somebody, because you know, with family and friends, you're only in my life at a certain point. But with someone, you're like, okay, we're going to try to build a life together. We are thinking about moving in together, or we're already living together, or we're like, now I'm making career moves, and now I got to keep you in mind. You know, stuff like that. And I think that's what brings it up more. And I will say I do try to avoid now, not in the past. In the past, I felt like I was always like, and we gonna talk about this. You know, I was always doing the like movie scene, like you coming in late at night and I'm sitting on the couch. I turn on the light, like, so where have you been?
Right.
Like, in the past, but now I feel like I avoid arguments, and it's really just because I don't have the energy anymore.
Yeah, me either. But it's still something I need to talk about, though. But it's just like, I don't have the energy to talk about. I don't have the energy to talk about it. But it's like, when are you gonna talk about this? Because it ain't, the problems ain't changing.
Oh yeah. It's definitely.
But you really have to build up that energy for it, and I'm already tired from other things. So I'm like, I'm not trying to build the energy to talk about that either. But
yeah, because I feel like when you're young, well, first of all, you're young, you don't have kids, you don't got real bills. Because I didn't have real bills until I was like 26, 27. Because, you know, I had that old car from when I was like 19 that was like only $3,000 that was paid off. And then around 26 was like, no, you got to get a new car now. So now you got a car loan. And then I moved to Atlanta. People keep saying Atlanta's cheap. It is not.
Who said it was cheap?
Oh, girl, I hear it all the time where people are like,
how?
And it's cheap. And I'm like, right now I can go to Ohio and get me a decent 2-bedroom for like $850.
Yes, I did never. Atlanta always seemed expensive to me.
Under $1,100.
Exactly.
And those are hard to find in Atlanta
or you have to live in like, I'm about to say, because you know he lived in the hood and his was like 900. I think his was kind of cheap. It was good, but it was in the hood. So
when me and my daughter's father separated, and we lived together for a year because we lived in this really nice area. We were in Alpharetta. It was a nice place, and like both of us, neither one of us really wanted to move out from there. But neither one of us could afford it by ourselves. And when I finally moved, like I moved to the hood, and I didn't realize it was a hood because I had a girlfriend that lived close by. She seemed to be like, yeah, no, it's fine. And then I moved and I was like, girl, this is the hood. Like, this is the hood. And I was like, I have to get out of here. But it was $850. It was $850.
Oh, that was cheap to be out there.
So that was the hood.
Right.
You guys, there was one point in time I was dating this cop. And we used to always go over to his place. One, because I have a daughter that I'm very wary about letting men know where I live. Because, you know, I've just had situations. I'm very weary about letting men know where I live. But we had got to a point where I was like, okay, you can come over. And when he came over my house, he was like, he came out in his full uniform, gun and all. And I'm not a gun person. So, like, when he came with his gun and all in, I was like, what are you doing? He's like, you didn't tell me you lived in the hood. I didn't know where I was going. He was like, matter of fact, he was like, I don't feel safe that I brought the squad car. Like, and I was like, what you mean you don't feel safe?
He drove the squad car over
there? The police out here.
He drove the squad car over there. Girl.
Oh, gosh. But yeah, I remember, like, him just being like, bruh, you did not tell me this is where you lived. And I was like, I didn't know.
Is this the one that we visited, me and Journey?
Huh?
Is that the one that we visited?
I think so.
It didn't seem bad over there.
Yes,
but
it was. Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't seem that bad over there.
It doesn't seem like, if you just look, it didn't seem like my neighbor were elderly folks. But like, matter of fact, the time that I was like, nope, it's time to move, like 2 young boys that got shot 3 houses down.
Yeah, I remember you told me that.
Yeah.
So I think I was kind of scared when you told me that.
Yeah,
stay by myself.
It's time to move. We are not doing this. I grew up upper middle class. I do not have time for this. Right. I know how to weed these situations. But yeah, in like relationships, I feel like now I don't feel like I have the energy. And also, like, again, when you're adult, like adult, now you have real bills. Now you have real problems. It's not like me and Cindy went to the club and she left with some dude and left me there by myself. Like, no, it's like, yo, Cindy, car broke down and it's gonna cost her $2,000, and she already have issues with the baby. So now I'm gonna try to see if I can send her 500, but then how am I gonna pay for this? And now and it's like, and then I gotta work overtime because I'm already not, like, it's real situations.
Yeah.
And so when it comes to like that added stress, it's just like, I think that's why I either don't deal with it or I shut down, or I'm just like, okay, we don't need to do this anymore. Because
and I kind of slowly ghost because it's just like,
yeah,
I don't feel like talking through that. Like, I told you enough times. Like, I have to feed my baby. I have to pay this bill. I have to do this. I have to do that. I don't have time for it. Yeah.
So let me ask you something though. Do you believe you hold back information when you argue? Like, when you do have to argue, you're like, you know what? I feel like it's going to blow up if I say everything. So let me just address these small things first.
Definitely. I think I do. Are we still talking? Is it like any argument or just with guys or?
You can break it down on which one when it's
okay. So holding back. With guys, when I finally like, okay, we need to talk, and I finally get it out, I don't hold back anything at that point. But like, if it's going like day to day, I'm holding back stuff. Because I have to build up the energy, or I have to build up not even the courage, it's just the energy to talk about it. But when I talk about it and we say everything, I'm saying everything. I put everything on the table, but my frustration is coming when they don't respond or they don't have anything to say to stuff I'm saying. Because I've been holding this in this long, and I finally have it out. I want to know what your response is to this, and that's my pet peeve when they don't say anything. But like with friends, it definitely matters which friend it is. Like, if I'm closer to that friend, I feel more comfortable with saying stuff. But like, some friends, I might not say anything. And it's been friends I haven't said anything for years, and that's where I get angry at myself, because I'm like, okay, we need to talk about this, but I just shy away from it. But like, if I'm a close friend, I don't feel uncomfortable saying anything I need to say. I might sugarcoat sometimes because I don't like confrontation, but I'm gonna say what I need to say if we're close, and I really don't withhold information. But with certain friends, I don't say as much, and I'm working on that because I don't like that about myself. But with relationships, I put everything on the table when I finally get there, but I have to get there first. So.
Yeah, I think the same thing. Like with friends, it's more of a, like, yes, if we're close, well, yeah, we're gonna talk about it. I might not bring it up right away. I might kind of be like, okay, how do I bring this up in a certain way? And it also depends on which friend I'm talking to. So like you versus Steph, I approach you guys differently. Because she is very blunt, can handle it type of person. She's when she talks back to me, she's very blunt. She's very matter of fact. When I talk to her, I'm very blunt and matter of fact. But we have that type of relationship.
But sometimes she gets offended, though.
No. Yeah, definitely. There's times she gets offended, but it's never like she just comes back with her own stuff. Like, it's never like there's never been a point where I feel we hurt each other's feelings.
Okay,
yeah. And with you, I know you're more sensitive. So I really think through what I say, because I never want it to come off in a certain way.
Yeah.
And I think even when me and you have disagreements, I say that, like, hey, I hope this didn't come off this way. This is all I'm trying to say. And that's how and it's also the same thing, Treva. I'm the same way with her. Me and her are very blunt, but me and her are also very jokey with each other. So we're very sarcastic. So I just think with friends, I do, but it's depending on which friend, because you can't approach everybody the same way.
No.
So I have to, really think about, like, okay, how are they going to react to this? Can I say this, or do I need to think about how I have to say this? Now, lately in the dating sphere, like, I'm not dating now, but in the dating sphere, as of the last time I was actually dating, I did bring things up. I didn't argue, though. I did not argue. I brought things up after I gave it time to resonate, and I thought about. One thing I have worked on in therapy is, okay, but are you ready to handle the consequences of how you handle things?
Right.
And so, because in the past I wasn't, like, I want to say what I want to say, and then I want you to be okay with it, and then I'm ready. Because also I am once I say what I got to say,
that's it.
Yeah, like I usually, once I just speak it or write it down, I'm good. But that does not mean whoever had to listen to you is good now, because you just dumped all this stuff on them. So I will say, like, the last couple people I've dated, I feel like I was a lot better. And I don't think I argued, but I did bring things up. But I definitely waited before I brought things up. But here's the thing, I would only do it via text. I'm not good at having disagreements in person with mates. So I think there was definitely times where I wanted to say something in person. I would wait till I got home, and I know that has to be frustrating.
It
I would
is.
wait till I got home, and then I would say something. And the reason why is, again, though, because I have that, I don't know how I'm gonna react, because you might say something and you gonna see this whole other side of me, and I can't guarantee I'm gonna hold back. I can't guarantee that I won't see that line and stop. I am a habitual line stepper. I can't promise you that I'm gonna be like, oh, I know he is sensitive about his recovery time, and I'm gonna bring that shit up. Like, I can't promise you I'm not gonna bring that up.
Right.
I cannot promise you that. So via text, I feel like I have more control, versus, like, you can piss me off, and I can be like, and let's just be honest, like, you can piss me off. I'm gonna do a screenshot and send it to the group text. Like, look what you know what I'm saying. Like, I'm about to blah blah blah, and y'all like, no, I don't think you should say that, because I feel like you really like this guy.
Yes, let's hold off on that.
Yeah.
I think I'm like that too, but sometimes, like, I hold it in, and then I just write like a book. And I'd be like, I'm about to send you this stuff. I'm about to send you something, and you need to read it. And take your time to get back to me. Because it's just like...
You do.
Because it's a lot. And I can't get it out. And the only way I can get it all out is if I just write a long email. And then it works that way sometimes. Because it's hard. I don't know why sometimes it's hard for me to express myself. Like, it has to be something to do with childhood or something. Who knows? But it's hard for me to express myself sometimes, so it's easier just, like, take notes. Because you got to have examples, because people going to be acting like they don't know nothing you talk about. Yeah. So I be like, having mental notes in my phone. So whenever I had this conversation, it's going to be... it's going to be on point. It's going to be on point to my notes.
I still have a note in my phone for someone I have no plans to talk to. But just in case, it circle back around.
Exactly.
I had some points.
Because they're going to be acting like you ain't got no examples. You can't... Oh, I have the examples right here. Let me pull up my notes. My notes thread.
And now that we both have iPhones, I'm just going to share the note with you.
Go ahead and
your
review
own
that.
Commentary.
Yes, you can go ahead and review that and comment on it. But yeah.
That is a real thing. No, also, but when you get mad, like, at least with me, when I get mad, I forget stuff because I'm so in the moment.
Yeah.
And also, I stutter, which pisses me off, because men always want to be like, that's why you stuttering. And then, again, that's when I want to cross the line. I'm like, okay, sir, well, let's talk about how your barber pushed your hairline back. You want to talk about me stuttering? Okay, let's talk about your hairline. And
your lips. Oh, yes. Yeah. Also, your country accent.
Right. But that's also another thing. Like, how do you argue fair when the person you're arguing with doesn't argue fair? Because how is it, like, if you're working on yourself and you're like, okay, I'm going to do better. I'm going to use my coping skills. I'm going to use everything I learned in therapy. I'm going to use the things I've learned over the last 10 years. But you're arguing with someone that's really immature.
I don't know. That's the thing. Like when I said I wasn't fighting fair, it was because I was arguing with the immature person. Like they'll bring stuff on me, and they was talking about try to dig on me. So I'm like, well, I'm about to come back at you, and then their feelings would get hurt. But I'm like, I didn't want to do it like this, but you kept on coming for me.
Yeah.
So, but now since I'm mature and older, I don't think I do that as much. I haven't messed with the same type of people I messed with back then. So it's like I don't do that as much. But I have been in situations where it's like, okay, you're not fighting fair, so I'm about to take the gloves off because you're disrespecting now. So I'm about to come back. But I never feel like, oh, you just like if they accidentally disrespected, like or said something or did something that rubbed me the wrong way, but it wasn't purposefully. That's kind of different to me. And I'm like, okay, that hurt my feelings. Like I would vocalize how that made me feel, but in the past I wouldn't. I'd be like, no, you hurt my feelings, so I'm about to come for you. But I kind of argue different now when I do argue.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, and you brought up a good point when you're like, I don't know, maybe it's some childhood stuff. I think that is why, because I don't like arguing with people, and I think the reason why I shut down is because a lot of times my reality was denied as a child. Like a lot of times I'd be like, this is how I feel, blah blah blah. My parents would be like, girl, you born with a silver spoon in your mouth. You ain't got no problem.
You ain't got no problem.
And that's their response, and they would just walk away.
So then you think that your problems aren't big enough?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then also I was the I was a child that listened, that obeyed the rules and all of that. Because of that, I also ended up being low key like the therapist caregiver. Yeah. Even like my siblings and stuff were older, that was the role I ended up playing because they would get in trouble, I would cover for them. They would do some things and I'd be like, you know what, Mom, but I really think that he didn't mean to take the car without your permission. I really feel like he really thought this was an emergency. Yes, he did not have a license in the car, but if we look at this from his perspective, like I end up being that person. And I think because of that, I end up feeling like a part of loving, it made me feel that a part of loving was me denying my own needs.
Yeah.
And focusing on the needs of whoever I was loving. And I think when you think like that, it makes it hard for you to have conflict, because now if I'm bringing up something, I'm bringing up an argument, now I have to speak about my needs, and I feel uncomfortable speaking about my needs because I've never been in a place where I can speak about my needs and it was met with maturity and understanding.
And you're talking about, yeah.
And so now, and I think that's a big part of why I shut down. I think that's a huge part of why I shut down, because it's like, I've never done this before. I don't know how to do this. And there's that fear of, no, because if I speak about my needs, I've never made...
You're going to be...
Yeah.
I've never
neglected. Really focus on my needs like that before. I don't know how you're going to react.
Yeah. And it might turn you off, or you might not want to do this anymore.
And also, a big thing I know for me is the feeling of vulnerability. I do not like feeling vulnerable in relationships. I have a real fear of vulnerability just because of certain relationships I've seen growing up. It didn't work out well for most of the women I know when they were vulnerable to men. A lot of the women I know who are vulnerable to men, the men used it to their advantage.
And they brought it back up, yeah.
Or they use it to hurt them later. Like, they know that's your vulnerability. So now they know, like, all I gotta do is do this one thing, and that's gonna make you feel vulnerable. That's gonna make you feel insecure.
I mean, we all know that's not the right man, but it's just like you have that same fear all the time.
I know good men who do that. I know men who are quote unquote good men. Because a lot of us, we're dual characters. There's a lot of this dual.
True.
We're good people, but we have certain things that we're like, why would you do that though? Even myself, I know that.
Yeah. I mean, I guess because even though one person I really love threw stuff back in my face, so yeah.
Yeah. And so I think because of that, like I don't like bringing stuff up, because it's like, nope, because if I bring this up, I'm going to feel vulnerable. I'm going to feel weak. I'm going to feel like, ooh, no, I'm giving you an inside scoop to things that hurt me. And if I shut down, you don't know you hurt me. Matter of fact, you think I don't care. If I just shut down and walk away from you, you like, damn, she really was able to walk away from me. She ain't crying for me. She ain't asking me to back. She ain't trying to work things out. She really just left. And I think some of that is also ego. Because there have been situations that I probably should have tried to work out. Probably should have stuck through more, but my pride would not let me. My pride was just like, oh, you think you about to come up in here and do this, and I'm gonna, work things out with you like your ex that kept chasing you.
Yeah.
You gonna learn real quick. I'm not the one. And there's, looking at hindsight, it's like, y'all cared about each other though. So you probably should have at least, it wasn't like that was an everyday thing. So I know that's one of the things for me when it comes to not arguing. Like, it's a fear of vulnerability. It's a fear of letting you in to see my emotions and know that this is something that is sensitive to me. This is something that hurts me, and I don't know if I believe you will not use that to your advantage one day.
And then that makes me not open up when, yeah. Now we're going to talk about like avoiding blaming. So, like with me, I don't think I blame. I don't think I ever blame, even when I was in like toxic arguing, until they came for me and they blamed me. I'm like, oh no, you're not gonna put it all on me because you're a part of this too. But for the most part, like now when I'm talking stuff out, I'll say like, this made me feel this way, this made me feel that way. Does anything I do make you feel a certain type of way, like in relationships? And I don't just like blame, like, you did it, you did that, you did that. But I'm saying, this would make me feel this way, and this is why it makes me feel this way. Am I doing anything that makes you feel a certain type of way? Or do I need to change it? So now I don't blame as much. Even back then I didn't. I don't know. I kind of always, I don't know. I kind of always blame myself, even if the person is bad. And that's not a good thing. But it's just like, I never really blame until you start pointing stuff out on me, and I'm going to point stuff back on you. But now I don't really have those crazy toxic arguments like I used to. So now I'm just trying to figure out, like, bruh, is there anything I need to do because you acting this way? Like, what's up? Like, so I don't really blame. Even like in friendships, I don't really blame either. I'll say how I feel about a certain thing. Never mind. I guess it matters the friendship. I guess it matters the friendship because I talk to you. I don't want to say people's name, but you know who the two people I talk to. I talk to you and one other person. So, like with her, like she would say something, and I'm like, "No, well, you did this, this, and this, so that's why I act this way." And then she was like, "But you're not seeing anything." Like, so we did go back and forth. We do go back and forth, but I think it's because probably in that situation I held stuff in, and I feel like I never said how this made me feel. But like in relationships, when I'm coming for it, I'll be more gentle sometimes with the blaming. But friendships, sometimes I'll say, it just matters the person. It's situational.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I think with friends, at least that I can think of, I feel like I don't blame. Not that I can think of. I feel like in relationships. Oh yeah, in relationships, I was gonna say I don't think so. I definitely do. I definitely do. Actually, now that I think about it for real. But again, it goes back to that resentment.
Yeah.
It goes back to that holding things in and then resenting them for so long. So then by the time you're ready to talk about it, it's like, this is why I feel this way because you kept doing this. And it's not fair because you never addressed it. But it's like by now, it's like, because I have to go back into why I feel like this, it the low key is blame. Because I'm going back into, this is why I'm not talking to you right now. This is why I haven't responded to your texts. Because you did this, and that. And I don't think it's fair. I'm going to try to do better. Eventually, I'm just, I'm not actively dating right now. So eventually, someone's son is going to walk into this and we'll see how it goes,
But you are working on it you are working on it. Even with like guys that you just find as friends, you're still working on it. Like expressing yourself, you know what I mean? So
I am. You are 100% right. Matter of fact, this week I tried it out with a friend. I did try it out. Where I expressed to them where I was like, hey, this really feels like our egos are just hitting heads with each other, and I feel like that's why we are not getting anywhere in this conversation. So let's just talk honestly about what the feelings are that are causing this conflict. But they're emotionally immature, so they're like, I don't know what you're
that's the thing too.
talking.
That would make me do the flip side. Like, you know what the fuck you doing. So I would start to go off. I would
but
have to get off the phone
but what
because
was my response? Like I then was shut down. I was like, oh, okay, that's how we
yeah,
acting. Cool. Delete, block.
yeah, that's
And
true.
then I just went about my day. Um, but that also again goes back to that vulnerability, because that was somebody who I'm never vulnerable with. I
Mm-hmm.
never really have those conversations with. If anything, I'm low key mean to.
Yeah.
And so I was like, you know what? Let's take a different approach, because I recognize that they were trying to take a different approach, and they were trying to change themselves, and they were trying to have more like sensitive conversations. And so at the time that they were trying, I was not receptive.
Yeah.
And so then when I was like, okay, I feel in a space where I'm ready to talk. And then that's when they were like, well, now I'm not receptive. And I'm like, okay, well, that's cool. Then we don't ever have to talk again.
At all. Goodbye.
Yeah. So I still have some work to do on that. But I did open up a conversation. So you're right. I
Yeah,
am working on
started. Yeah. And it's just like, if they don't receive it, I honestly don't see nothing wrong with shutting down, delete, and block, whatever. If they're not receiving it, like, what can you do with that? What can you do with that? Because me, I just like, let me get off the phone because I won't cuss you out. But I'm still angry. Like, you know it's a problem, but why aren't you talking? And I get angry.
it. Yeah.
So I really don't see nothing wrong with saying, okay, delete. I mean, because you tried.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
tried, and
I
other
do.
times you didn't try. So it's just like, you tried. So now that's their loss. That's them acting like that. So I don't see nothing wrong with deleting.
I mean, and that's where I am too. But also I feel like, again, it's one of those it depends who you're talking to type of things, because I do think there's going to be somebody that you eventually there needs to be somebody that you eventually are like, no, even when you are in a place where you're emotionally frustrated and you're shut down, I love you enough that I still want to try. Um, because I think in long-term relationships you get to places where one of you have to pull more weight than the other,
Yeah.
just because where that person is emotionally, mentally, um, but it's a matter of like, okay, learning, is this the person I'm willing to do that for? Are you worth me doing that for? And if you've been burnt in the past where you've done it before and it hasn't turned out well, that can be hard.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you are like me and you've never done it before, and you're like, yeah, I don't know how this is gonna go. I'm just scared at the fact that it can go anyway. That's also scary. And so I feel like that's something that holds a lot of people back as well. Because I know that's what holds me back a lot of times. Because even when I'm come across people that I'm like, oh, I really, really care for you. I think this is something different. Maybe I should try. And then it's like, okay, but now you piss me off.
Mm-hmm.
And this is more than a normal piss off. This is like, you really are making me feel like I need to take myself out of professional, nice, loving, caring rest. And now you're about to get what the people, other people get. You about to get a side of me that, is not friendly, that's not nice and not caring. And I feel like it's really, really hard for me to, when someone gets me to that point, to remind myself like, yo, no, this is someone special.
Right.
This
Yeah.
might be worth saving.
Mm-hmm.
Because my mind doesn't think like that until after the fact. Like while I'm in it, my mind does not think like that. Like, yo, but you
But
really
like
care.
you said, like if you got to that with a person that really meant something, like, you would have to get over that hump. Like, that person wouldn't be like, "What are you talking about?" And like you had to build that foundation, and then you can be like, you feel a certain, you know what you know what I'm saying? Like you have to build a
Yeah.
foundation to get to the point where you be like, I want to talk this out, I want to work this out. But when a person presents herself as don't want to talk things out that you know need to be talked out, I don't feel that you're wrong for just like washing your hands of the situation.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, always leaving space for those people. Like if you tried and maybe they just weren't in the
That
right
day,
mindset.
okay.
Yeah. Leaving the space open for that. Because
Mhm.
I think there are a lot of relationships that are just wrong timing,
Yeah, true.
where maybe
True.
it's things going on in their life or just emotionally. Like that person is just not in a space emotionally to handle the type of relationship you two are destined to have or whatever. Um, so I think there's definitely some bonus in leaving things open. But on the flip side of that, it shouldn't be for everybody because you also have those people that leave the door open for everybody. So
And that
anybody
ain't
can
right.
come in.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the disrespect is real. So like no. No.
Bro, I can tell you, like, every now and then someone will tell me, like, and I think I've seen memes of that where it's like you don't realize how messed up something is until you're explaining it to someone else.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
I think that's like a real thing. And I know that's happened to me before where I'm trying to explain a situation and then in the middle of it, I'm recognizing their facial expressions. And then also I recognize myself saying, yeah, but like, okay, it wasn't like that. I know that's what it sounded like, but and you kind of have that moment where you're like, oh crap, where when you were in it, you didn't realize how bad it was. And every
Mhm.
now and then I'll have someone have that type of conversation with me where they're like, yeah, no, I'm gonna forgive him, and blah blah blah, and yeah, I know he got his cousin pregnant, but I just feel like, like, hmm, hmm, let's go back
Not
and
that serious.
let's go back to that detail. Let's not gloss over the pregnant cousin. Um, so not
Yeah.
everything should be left open, but
Mhm.
I definitely think, there in. But that comes down to a discernment thing because let's just be honest, some people don't have discernment. Like there's
Mhm.
some people who just it's just not in them to recognize.
Mhm.
They think everybody's special.
Yeah.
We all know one person who's always in love. It's never the same
Yeah.
person, but they're always in love.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um, so I guess that doesn't work for everybody, but I think if you have some type of discernment. I think there's a part that you can recognize, like, hey, this is something special, this is something I'm not used to having,
Mhm.
let me work on this. And it doesn't mean it's going to work, and that's just one of the things you have to prepare yourself for. Like, I can pour my heart out and I can try to do this in a mature way, and I can try to bring up my stuff and let them know, like, hey, this hurt me, this is what I don't like, this is what I do like, this is how I wish you would have handled it. And they can just be like, yeah, nah. And you have to mentally prepare yourself for that. Like, hey, they could just not care.
Mhm.
And
And that's
that's going
hard
to
to.
be very
That's
hard.
hard. Yeah. Hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially if you really care about somebody.
Mhm.
And I also think that's a part of the fear of conflict, because sometimes the fear of conflict, I really believe, is like, I'm scared that if I bring this up, I'm going to find out that you don't love me like the way I thought you did.
Thought you did. Yeah. Yeah.
And that's
And it's a
terrifying.
hard pill to swallow. So that's another
Yeah.
reason you don't bring stuff up a lot of times too.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Definitely. But I do think it's important, though, when you are arguing, you cannot bring up past hurts and pains if you guys
Mhm.
already talked about it. Like,
Yeah,
that's
and disgusting. Yeah.
yeah, that's unfair. Like, if he cheated on you and you forgave him for cheating,
Why are we still
okay,
talking
but
about
now
it?
y'all
Yeah.
arguing about he keep eating your ice cream. This is not the time to bring that back up. Like, y'all already discussed
Mhm.
the cheating. Okay, you do not need to relate that about how he lied about the cookie Oreo ice cream. Like, yes, I see. Don't get me wrong. I see how the manipulation lies kind of connect with each other, but y'all already discussed that.
Right.
I think I am good at not bringing it up. I think I'm good at that, but also I forget stuff easily, and I think that's the only reason why I'm good at not bringing up past offenses.
Mhm.
I be forgetting. And it's also why I have to do the notes thing like you, because I forget when they're like, give
Cause
me an example.
cause you be dumbfounded, like, I don't
Yeah.
know. But they
But
need
they're
them examples. They definitely need them examples, because they're like, oh, I did do this. So
yeah.
if you don't have an example, they just like act like it's not true.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. But I
So
feel like if it's something that y'all already discussed, it's not fair to bring it back up.
no,
I've been in a relationship with somebody like that. And honestly, my beliefs is because I did stuff so rarely. That was like one of those selfish fuck up moments. I did it so rarely that they had to keep up stuff that was like from 4 years ago. I mean, that's how I felt. Where every time we argued, it was like, and you blah 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 blah, and I was just like, when I was 16, like, I was like, hold on, you mean
like,
when I was
sir,
in high school, you talking about
sir.
how yeah, like, I don't feel like that's relevant right now. And it's a horrible feeling to be with someone like that who keeps in it, because you're like, okay, so did you never really forgive that? And if you never really forgive that, what are we doing? Because
why
now
are we still
like you have a resentment.
Yeah.
And if you're never going to let that go, can we really move forward? And that's also another thing about arguing, is like, because sometimes it brings up stuff that you're like, you recognize, like, I'm not sure I can forgive this. I'm not sure this is something I will let go.
Right.
I feel like
especially you keep bringing it up.
Yeah. But even like, I feel like the last time I was with somebody who I didn't get in an argument with, I walked away. As y'all know, that's gonna be my hashtag. When we get merchandise, this is gonna be saying Ress. I walked away. Well, y'all, please also stop asking me like, oh, y'all should do a therapy commentary show. Like, y'all, I'm paying somebody $125 to tell me to stop.
A therapy commentary, like what? What?
Yeah, please let me tell my therapist I'm giving people therapy advice. She's like, I feel like you shouldn't do that. Like, I know you know the technical terms.
So the people are asking for our opinions on that?
Yeah, like we've had people write us and say, you really don't be going to the page that much.
No.
But we have people that write us and just like, oh, you guys, I know you were a counselor, and I just think you were probably bomb. And I'm like, girl, no, I wasn't. I really was not. I feel like y'all know, if y'all listen to the social work episode, I'm a forensic social worker, and I feel like I might have created some of my current clients. So like, and forensic means like I'm working with the jails. So no, I would not be a good therapist. I went to school for therapy. I know the clinical terms. I could probably pass my LCSW very easily. It's just, no. But also, I think I'm also very realistic, and I think a certain part of therapy is not. So there's that. But I will say, the last person that I should have got into a discussion with or argument with, that was a big part of it for me. It's like when I decided to just walk away from the whole entire situation, for me, it was like, because I don't know if arguing about this is going to help, because I don't know if this is something I'm ever going to drop.
Yeah.
I don't know. At that point in time, I was like, I don't believe 6 months from now, I'm not going to be cuddled up with you watching TV and just look at you like I should just punch him in his face. I can't guarantee that. Every now and then there's certain things that pop up where it hurts you at a certain level. And also, it doesn't matter if it doesn't make sense to anybody else, because there's definitely things that, like, I feel we're like, yo, this really, really hurt me. And people are like, that is not serious. This man had a whole baby on me and I forgave him. I don't know why you... And it's like, okay, but my hurt is my hurt.
Yeah.
My sensitivity is my sensitivity. So, whatever. But there's certain things that, like, in that particular situation, I think that was a big part of why I walked away, because I thought about it. Like, I thought about it. I literally was walking around the house and thinking before I made my move, before I was just like, no, I'm gonna leave. And when I was doing that, like, that was one of the thoughts I was having, like, yo, do you want to leave, or do you just want to climb back in bed and discuss this tomorrow? And one of the thoughts I had was like, no, because I do not know if I will ever be okay that this was something that happened.
Yeah.
I am not sure that I will ever actually really forgive you.
Mm-hmm. But when
Whether
you know that, yeah.
yeah, yeah. And it's one of those things where it's like, you know what? And sometimes having the discussion will help you to get over it.
Mm-hmm.
And I will know because I don't be having the discussions. So maybe. But like there are certain situations where even now, like honestly, I'm a very out of sight, out of mind person for the most part. If I don't see or hear you or talk to you, I'm good. And it's why I cut contact with exes. Like I don't do that. We are friends. I have to be friends with my child's father. But anybody else, like I don't do that. We have to be friends. Let's stay in communication. Like, no, you don't even have access to my Instagram. Like, there's just no point.
Right.
And the reason I do that is because I feel like this is my personal opinion. Someone who grew up with 7 brothers, I feel like women do that more so in hopes that maybe they'll see you being happy and you can flirt on them, or it opens up a passage and maybe y'all can get back together type of thing. But I feel like men do that to always have access to you.
Yeah.
Like they already know in their mind they don't want to be with you. But they know if maybe I'll be friends or whatever, and I'm bored and going
I
through
can
a
hit
hard
her up,
time.
right?
Yeah, and again, that's just my perspective because I grew up in a house with 7 boys, and that's what I saw them do. So I'm very much like, no, you don't get access to me. You are no longer allowed to have access to me, not as a friend, not as anything. But I will say with that last incident, every blue moon, like once every like 4 months or so, that whole situation will pop in my head, and I'll be driving, I'll be jamming, I'll be watching TV, and the situation will pop in my head. I'm like, fuck him, and like I get so angry, and I'll say it out loud. And so that's one of those things. Like, and see, that's how I know.
Yeah,
that wouldn't have worked because
it would be. Yeah, you'd be chilling, and you'd be
I'm
like,
not even
"Epic."
thinking about it,
Yeah,
and it will randomly pop up in my mind, and I feel that anger.
yeah. But you know your limits though too, so
yes. I'm very strong in my limits. Like and that's one thing I would recommend for any woman, any man. Like before you start dating, make a list of what your limits are and stick to
which
them.
you can, yeah, definitely, because it's no use of trying once those limits have been crossed, or because it's like I don't know, you could try, but it's in the back of your head. It's not gonna be all the way right. I don't think. You know what I mean? Yeah. So.
And then also I think what's important when arguing fair is focusing on the solution. Like if you're arguing because there's a problem. So the argument should be, okay, we agree this is a problem. How do we solve this problem? And I feel like when a lot of people argue, it's not that. It's arguing like, I just want to say my stuff. And I want you to hear my stuff. And then that's it. And it's like, well, okay, so the argument was pointless. Because no solution was found. Y'all weren't even looking for a solution. Y'all just both wanted to air out each other.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's more like and another thing, argument shouldn't be so much of a back and forth, more as just a conversation. Like you said, the solution. So we're trying to figure out how can we meet in the middle, or how can we not hurt each other in this way again. It's just supposed to be talking it out. It's not supposed to be hurting. So I definitely agree with the solution aspect of it. Even if you have to walk away and like, can we please talk about this tomorrow when I calm down, level headed? But you have to come back. But when you come back, you have to figure out the solution. Yeah.
That's what they say. But also, okay, but when is it okay to walk away? Like, when is it okay? When is it a mature thing to walk away? When is it being immature?
I think you can walk away if you have if you don't want to disrespect, if you don't want to say something that's hurting them. But for me, when I'm walking away, I need to know, but you don't really know in that moment if you're going to come back. But I want to know that I'm going to come back. Like, I'm walking away because I won't hurt you, but I really want to talk about this. Can we please talk? But one person has to be willing to talk anytime, I guess. Because if you come back and I was like, well, I don't want to talk about it now, it's just like, okay, we defeating the purpose.
Yeah.
So if we have this talk when we're not mad at each other, like sometimes I may walk away, but can we please come back and talk about it? It just has to be agreement when you're not in the moment, so they can know like, oh, she needs this time. We're gonna talk about this. We're gonna set a time to talk about this. That's
Okay.
all
So
mature people though. Like, like it is not that easy. You know what I mean?
it's not. It's not.
But I think
Look,
you
there's
should
certain
walk away before you
areas.
disrespect though. Like I think you should, because some disrespect you can't come back from.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. There are certain lines that can be crossed. That like, nope. Once you cross that line, you cannot
Yeah, I
cross it.
have dated somebody who disrespect, but then they like, oh, that's in the past. But that was 2 days ago. So you can't
Mm-hmm.
like disrespect me and think I want to talk to you the next day. So it's better for me not to disrespect you and come back and talk to you. That's how
Yeah.
I feel. But I don't
Mm-hmm.
know.
No, that's how I feel as well. Like I feel like when I feel like I'm about to get real disrespectful, I need to walk away.
Yeah, because I still love you. I don't want to hurt you. So I don't want to do that. Because I don't know. Because
Yeah.
disrespect replays in my mind often. So when you disrespect me, you might as well have
Mm-hmm.
walked away and let's talk about it later.
Yeah. No, I will say that's one thing I have. I have bad memory, so stuff like that. Again, unless you remind me, I be forgetting.
Yeah,
Matter of
that
fact,
is true.
sometimes y'all be reminding me of stuff where I'll be like, you know what, he really was a good guy. You're like, Chris, didn't he? Blah, blah. Oh, you're right. You're right. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
You're completely right.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I definitely feel like when you're doing it out of I'm doing this because I don't feel I can properly handle us talking about this right now. It's more maturity. And when you're doing it just like, nope, I'm done. It's immature. And I do both. I do both. I will admit there's times I'm emotionally immature. But I think also with that, you have to get to the root cause of your emotional maturity. Like when you are emotionally mature, like y'all trust me, again, last year was a horrible year. Last year was a whole year of shadow work. It was a whole year of getting to the problems, the root of my problems. And like again, like I said earlier, for me, I know with the shutting down and so forth, that was because again, my reality was denied a lot as a child. Especially since everybody was so much older than me that like my problems didn't seem like real problems. And so I was just always like, that's not a real problem. Please go somewhere. We dealing with big people problems.
Right.
And so for me, like it taught me like to deny my own pain. It taught me to deny my own needs. And so when I feel that urge come up, I tell myself to shut it down. Because it's like it almost feels like how dare you bring up your own needs? How dare you bring up your own stuff? There's bigger things at hand here. And then not only that, it's also that fear of I don't know how people are going to react because you're not used to me being all about me. You're not used to me being about me and talking about me.
It's more about catering to you. Yeah.
Yeah. And I will, and let me just say when I say that, because sometimes I think that can be taken out of context, I'm dating good people. So it's not like I don't talk about me and they're completely denying my needs. It's more like I'm dating people who are already good people. So it's not like I have to, but it's healthy to. So someone can know how to love you, how you like to be loved.
Right.
So that's more so what I meant. But, getting to the root of that, I think is how you heal and how you learn how to argue fairly, how to communicate more effectively. If I know a big part of my issues with communication is fear of intimacy, fear of vulnerability, then I can work on that. But if all I know is like, yeah, I don't like to talk. Okay, now how do I fix it? But now that I know that it's because I have a fear of vulnerability, because I wasn't allowed to be vulnerable, I was not allowed to show vulnerability growing up, then now I know that's something I can work on. Now that I know, okay, let me get books on vulnerability. Let me read up articles on how to open up. Let me get podcasts that talks about these things, things like that. And I truly believe that, because I used to be one of those people that was like, I don't understand people that buy self-help books. I really don't. But now I get it, and I don't so much do self-help, but I do like psychology books. I do like books that explain and break down the theories and things on like childhood and why people turn out the way they are. And even if though you're reading it, you might be like, oh, damn, I just read that and I just did not use it. But I think when you surround yourself with that type of stuff, over time, it will help you grow.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
You know, what you put in your minds and into your eyes, eventually is going to seep into you.
Mm-hmm.
So I definitely think that's one of the biggest ways to like change your argument style, change your communication pattern, is one, really getting to the root of why you have that, really sitting down and thinking, where did that come from? And if you can't do it, maybe do it with a therapist. They're really good at telling you that was your mother or father's fault. That is half of their job. So you can definitely get someone to help you with that. And then once you figure it out, then go from there.
Yeah, I agree.
Another point I think that needs to be discussed is make sure you guys are arguing about the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like that happens a lot where you get into the argument and like your part is like, you do not communicate well. You are not communicating well. I never know what's going on with you. I never know where we stand, blah, blah, blah. That might be your argument. And his argument might be like, what's the stupid stuff men say? See so much. It's hard.
Exactly.
That could be
you
your
didn't
argument.
care.
Their argument can be like,
you never really cared about
but
me.
I buy you stuff.
Yeah, or something. Yeah.
Do you not notice all the stuff I buy you?
Mm-hmm.
I be buying you stuff. I be paying your bills. And you're like, that's not what I'm arguing about. I'm not talking about you not paying my bills. I'm talking about you talking.
But when you're so like trying to get your point across, you're not listening at all. So you don't even know y'all arguing about two different things.
Mm-hmm. I feel like that's definitely happened to me where like everything has calmed down and like you have that conversation like, okay, but do you see what my point was? And like, this is what I was talking about. They're like, yeah. I see your point, but this is what I was talking about. And I'm like, okay, but those are two different points. I don't even know why you brought that point up. That's a whole different subject. And I feel like it happens a lot more than we realize that like, y'all not even talking about the same thing.
I agree.
It's like that, you know, you see the little screenshots and memes or whatever where the girl writes a whole paragraph like, and you were at her house and I saw the text messages and you call her baby and I know who she is. She was a girl in a red shirt and you was up here lying to me. And the dude will reply back, she didn't even have on a red shirt. Right. That's not the point. I feel like those type of things happen
all the time. I think so too.
So you just gonna focus on that one sentence I sent you about.
Clearly, you still talking about her though. Like, sir. Yeah.
So yeah, definitely making sure you guys are arguing about the right thing.
On the same page. Yeah.
Yeah. Making sure you are honest about what your needs are too. Because I feel like a lot of times, especially as women, we are taught to anticipate a man's needs. And so when we argue, it's like, okay, this is the thing that hurt me, whatever. I don't like this. But then we don't really necessarily go into our needs. And actually, now I think about men do this as well, too. Like, we don't then go, okay, but these are my needs. And if you fill these needs, this won't be an issue anymore.
Right. But I don't think they're trying to listen to get there, though.
Yeah, that's true. But I know with myself, I feel like I don't bring up my needs enough because I'm like, we're already in this argument. I don't want to add more to this. You know, because insecure comes on at 10. It's 9:45. We can just wrap this up. We can wrap this up in the next 15 minutes. And I feel like if I bring that up,
it's gonna make it even longer.
I'm not gonna know the bullshit Molly's on this week. Okay? So no, I definitely think that's a big part too, is making sure that you are stating your needs, what your needs are, and not shying away from it. Because that I will say that is one of my problems. Like, I am bad about speaking about my needs because I also grew up I grew up with both parents who were very focused on me being independent. And it was very big for them to be like, we want to make sure that, you know, we want you to have somebody. We want you to be happy and in love. We want you to have a great marriage, great family. But I want to make sure I raise a woman who is not dependent on anyone. that can always walk away. And they did a good job. They really stressed
But
that
it
walk away
seems
part.
like they all. So they wasn't telling me to walk away, but be independent. So which with me being independent is knowing that I can walk away. You know what I mean? They say you didn't walk away if you're not happy. It's just like you need to be independent. You don't need to depend on that man. Blah, blah, blah. So it's like I don't gotta depend on you, so I'm good. But it's crazy that they taught us that way, but they all like, but why are you not married? You know what I mean? Nigga, you taught me to be this way. You taught me to be this way. Ma'am, you
Look,
taught me to be this way. Like you push that in my head so hard. Like she would tell me that all the time. Like, you don't need to depend on a man. You didn't have your own. You need to have your own bank account. You need to have your own money. And I have everything my own. And I don't depend on nobody. But it makes it harder to
yeah,
it's easy to walk away because I'm like, I have everything.
yeah.
I just need a companion.
And you know what's crazy is because they tell you the healthy way today is to already be full and already be healthy and whole. But it's like also when you're full and healthy and whole, it's a really hard for you to stick through things because you're like,
Yeah.
I don't need this.
I
You
don't.
know,
I'm good.
I could be happy and not deal with your bullshit
Yeah.
because I'm happy and whole all by myself. So it's like one of those catch 180s. Because again, I think it helps you a lot of times from putting up with bullshit, but sometimes it makes you miss out on good things.
Yeah, that's
because
true.
Again, everybody has their flaws. But when you're real strong in that, like, I don't need you. I don't need your way out of something that could have been really beautiful. And I also think that's a part of why, you have some people that are scared to let go of things because you're like, no, I really think this can be beautiful if you would just act right. Like, I really, like, if you would just act right. Everything else is perfect, but you have no act right. And if I could just buy you some and just give it to you in vitamin form, we will be okay. So you have that, or you have the people that are just like, no, you don't want to do right. I'm good. And both are a problem. Both are a problem.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And I think we already talked about addressing the real issues behind the anger, because I think that's also another big one because we might be arguing like, I told you I like having consistent communication. You don't call me on a consistent basis. Why is it that I get a text message in the morning and I don't hear from you until 9? Why is it that, whatever. And they might be like, well, we see each other all weekend. We spend the whole weekend together. Why do I have to text you a million times a day?
Yeah.
And that might be the argument, but it's like, okay, but what's the real issue behind that?
But they don't, like, they talk over that part. I had for example, it was a problem, like, I was like, I need communication or I need quality time. I just want you to call me. I just want you to check in on me. Then their response is, well, I just know the problem is I'm not there, so I got to figure out how to get there. Sir, did you not just hear anything I said? like,
if you would call, you wouldn't even have to.
I want you to come be here eventually, but it's just like, you're not listening to what we doing in the meantime. Like, and guys do that. Like, it's just like, that's another thing, like arguing about two different things, you're not listening. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, with me, I think with the whole, what is the real issue behind the anger? Like with me, I was in a situation where the person was doing all the right things. Like we were going on great dates. It was every other week we would go on a great date. We were spending a lot of time together. They were great at communication and all of that. But my issue was, I don't know where we stand. We're doing all of these things, but whenever we try to have this conversation of, okay, what are we doing though? You circle around the question. And yes, that's the problem. But the real anger behind that is, I feel like you are emotionally unsafe for me because you won't tell me your feelings on where we are. If you would just tell me, I don't know, or if I don't know if you are an emotionally safe person and we can address that, then the other stuff will be a lot easier for me.
Yeah.
Because if I know, look, I know I care about you. I know that you are being vulnerable to me and I'm not going to take advantage of that. I am just trying to handle these things at this present time. But I am being careful with your heart. I am trying to love you the way that you want to be loved. I am trying to meet your needs. You know, that's if we having that conversation, you know,
It's
then that
different.
kind of, yeah, then that kind of calms down the flames of, oh, I don't know if I feel emotionally safe with you.
Mm-hmm.
Versus if all you address is the whole, like, okay, you don't know where I stand, but like, I don't know where you stand. And like, you keep saying you stand here, but like, I don't really be knowing where you stand either. Because you know that dumb stuff they do. Where they
Yes,
say
I thought
something back
that
and you're
right.
like, sorry, that don't even make sense. But it's like, yeah, once y'all get to the core issue of, okay, what's the real anger behind the anger, I think you can get a lot more done. If the real anger behind the situation is, this is something I'm insecure about, and so you keep triggering me on something I'm already
Secure
insecure
about,
about.
yeah. And
Yeah,
I'm trying to
because
tell
that,
you, but yeah.
yeah, like I'm
Mm-hmm.
speaking about this particular situation, but the real issue is that you are triggering me and you're
Big
making me
time,
feel
yeah.
insecure. Yeah. Um, and I just, there has to be a point where you can just agree to disagree with somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think that's another big one. Like, you're not always going to be on the same page. You're not always going to be able to end the argument. And there needs to be a okay to not have to be on the same page on everything. But also with that, you also need to know, like, okay, I might have to walk away with you, away from you,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and know that going in, not as an escape route, but so you're prepared, so you're not in a situation where you're trying to save a dying thing.
Yeah. And you know, like, to make your choice, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, because there are certain situations that and things where, like, I'm not. This is a stance that this is something I can't ignore. This is not something I could just be like, oh, okay, well, that's how you feel. No, there are certain things where it's like, no, this is a real thing for me. And I
Mm-hmm.
now know, like,
You
if this
can't
is where you
handle it.
stand,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not going to be able to resolve that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then we come to that
Um,
compromise, or we come to that conclusion
yeah, yeah,
and stop
I
wasting time. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And that's another thing. Like, I feel like when people are scared to let go, it's like, oh, I don't want to start over. I want to meet new people. And yo, I get it. Like, that's why I'm not dating now. Like, the idea of trying to meet a new person and have to talk to them and figure
Figure
out
it
what their favorite
out. Right.
is. Yeah, figure out, are they a morning person? Do they, all of that? Are you do you tip the waitresses well? Stuff like that. It's just annoying.
Mm-hmm.
Figuring out people's communication patterns,
Mm-hmm.
especially when you were spoiled with people who were good communicators, and you keep
Yes.
meeting these folks that want to text every 3 days.
Mm-hmm. I think it's okay. And be okay.
Yeah.
No, it's not
And they
okay.
be like, so when I'm going to see you, sir, we have had 4 sentences all week. What do you mean
Yes.
you're going to see me?
Yes. All month.
You're not. But it's definitely, I get that. But I think, being able to walk away is such a gift and a power. I don't think most people understand how powerful it is to be able to walk away. Yes, there's some of us that take it to the extreme, but if you can find that moderation, it's such a beautiful thing. And that's something I know I really hope I instill in my daughter. But I don't think I have to worry about that because she just be walking away from things all the time.
But that's the thing too. Like, if you argue, like, or you talk it out in the right way, you can see, like, oh, okay, this cannot serve me anymore, and you have that
Yeah.
freedom to walk away. Like, holding on to something that you know is just not in you because you're scared to find somebody else, it's not going to serve you, and you're going to build resentment. Well, that's just my
Yeah.
opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, also, I feel like I know a lot of situations where it's like, I don't want to find in somebody else because I know the last time it took me this long to find you.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had to put all this effort into making you and us into this. And I don't have that type of time anymore. I don't have that type of energy anymore. So I rather just stay here. And I think I personally feel like death to anything that hinders your growth.
Yeah.
And when you stay with someone out of fear of being alone, out of fear of starting over, out of fear of the pain and emotions that will come out of leaving them, you are hindering yourself and you're just doing yourself a disservice.
I agree.
And also, and this is with men and women, but I'm a woman, so I'm gonna speak on it with men. Also, when they also recognize that, like, y'all both just holding on because why not? When they meet somebody that sparked their interest, they're not gonna be scared to leave you.
Yeah.
They're going to up and leave. So you might as well. Like, okay, you can have another 2-3 good years or okay years with them. Because let's be honest, it's not good. It's mediocre years with them, and then one day they just walk out and leave you because they found someone that feels the same way they do, that communicates the way they do, that gives them that spark they do. And now it's like incredibly painful because you're like, I thought we both agreed to settle for each other. I thought we both,
they just waiting in the winds to find the right one. Yeah.
Because the truth of the matter is, if y'all both feel like that, one of y'all eventually are gonna run into somebody
that sparks interest. Yeah.
And
that's what happens. So, it definitely happened to me. Like, like I was like, that's why I was with who I was with, because I was waiting around forever. Like, I'm trying to figure this out, I'm trying to figure that out.
Oh yeah.
It definitely did, because he never made a move.
You know what? But also, yes, you're right. Well, but no, I think that's a different situation, because that wasn't a situation of you guys being like mediocre and unhappy. That was just more of a situation of like, sir, you gonna make a move or not?
Yeah, but now it's mediocre. Yeah.
Okay. Well, but you know what? I feel like that's what happened with me. I had a long-term relationship that was very mediocre. We should have really let go a lot sooner than we did. And we didn't. And we really did love each other. We really did love each other. But I think,
it's love there, but
but there was definitely, a point where I feel like we both knew. I think they denied it, but we both knew, like, this is not going to work long term. Long term, we are not compatible. But we did love each other, and we worked good together, and we were doing things together that were help building each other. But what happened is I actually ended up being a person who was like, I am so unfulfilled with this. And, I recognized that I could be happier elsewhere.
But then when you recognize it and they don't recognize it at the same time, you become the bad person. Or...
Yes. And let me just say, when I say recognize, I'm not talking about cheating or anything like that. It's just recognizing, like, when you go out and you talk to people and you're like, oh my gosh, I can have stimulating conversations. Like, I forgot this was a thing. I forgot, like, every conversation I have isn't like pulling needles out of you. Because that's when you stay with someone out of just contentment, that's eventually what it grows to.
Or whatever.
Where you're just like, oh, I gotta see you again. Even when you love them, it's just, you have those moments. And I just got reminded, like, no, you can talk to people and it'll be and you'll have stimulating conversations. I forgot that.
You do forget when you become complacent.
So our general takeaway is argue fair. It's worth it in the long run. Make sure you guys are on the same page. You're arguing about the same thing. Also, think about the core needs of what your argument is. What is the core needs? If you're arguing about their cheating and they're lying, okay, is your core needs is that you are triggering my fear of abandonment. You are making me feel insecure. You are making me feel unloved, because that's what needs to be addressed. Yes, the cheating needs to be addressed, but those core feelings, if you don't talk about those core feelings, I think that's so much easier for those that anger to come back. Even if they stop cheating or whatever, it's like, no, because we never addressed the fact that you made me feel insecure, that you made me feel abandoned, that you triggered something from my childhood, and now I have this little resentment that's hard for me to let go of. Because yes, we talked about the cheating. Yes, you're being faithful now, but now I always have this fear that you might abandon me one day. Now I have this fear that you don't care about making me feel insecure. And so now I'm walking around with this insecurity because you have shown me that you will put me in that position. So yes, that's also one of the key takeaways that we have here. And I think one of the biggest key takeaways that we have is also, recognizing when you need to walk away to gather yourself. And when are you walking away out of pure immaturity, out of pure just shutting down and not knowing how to handle it, and recognizing when that's an actual problem, when that is unhealthy and it's just blocking your growth.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to add, Nique?
When you actually talk about it and you discuss it and you realize that it doesn't serve me or it's really not serving them, being okay to understand that you don't have to force it. Like, it's okay to walk away. Like, it's okay. I mean, it is harder to start over in times, but like, once you get those arguments, once you start to talk it out and like, I really do love you, but is this serving either of us? It is okay to make that move. Not cheating, but talking it out and gracefully letting the person know that this is just not going to work, I think I'm just saying it's okay to do that.
I agree. Well, guys, we will have another episode for you next Thursday. I really, really hope you guys give the social work one a listen, even if you aren't social workers. I thought it was funny. I thought it was entertaining.
Yes.
Also, if you know nothing about social work, like, it's a really good insight, because I think, again, everybody thinks we're just all case managers sitting at our desks, and you get to hear about Gabby going under bridges. And you get to hear about me talking to inmates that got 3 guards on them while standing 6 feet, not 6 feet, 6 inches away from them.
Mm-hmm.
You get to hear about Nique planning funerals, having to plan out someone's whole going away. So give it a listen if you haven't. It's our bonus episode. It's just there if you want it. If you don't, we understand. Also, you guys, leave reviews, and actually leave reviews saying stuff, because we have like 3 reviews and y'all all gave us 5s, which is great. We appreciate it. But like, no one said anything. So I don't know what the 5 is for. I don't know if it's 5, like, I'm giving you this 5 because you told me to leave a review. But it would be great to have comment. Even if you don't agree with us. So it'd be like,
let us know. Yes.
Yeah. They think they're funny. They're not. Let us know. Also, leave your address because I'm going to come see you. But.
Okay.
Just know that. No, but honestly, if you guys are leaving reviews, one, it's greatly appreciated. It helps our stats. But also, if you can write something so we know we're on the right path and what you guys like and what you guys don't like.
Yes.
We greatly, greatly appreciate it. Also, always email us or DM us. I love getting you guys DMs. If I ever reply back and it's like low energy, it's because I have low energy. I'm suffering. I have insomnia, guys, so I'm like getting 3 hours of sleep a day. But I promise I'm trying. And I love all the comments and I love all the DMs that we get. You guys are so awesome. There's one particular person who every time we write one, and got a new episode, he writes us to be like, I love it. And I love getting your DMs, sir. I love it. Because I will be having a bad day. It's like, I just listen and I love it. But I'm like, yeah, boy. Thank you. Thank you. Because I just got cussed out earlier by a client. I needed that.
I needed that reassurance.
Right. And Nique gets them too. Nique's on the page. Nique has access to the same page. I just think I'm usually the one on it more. Yeah. But we have group chats. I screen text her like, look what they said. And we'll be like, yay.
They love us.
Or we'll be like, so the imposter syndrome is an episode y'all love. Like, that one is doing numbers still. Every time I go look at our stats, that one, like, we can release something today and that one will I'll come back and look at the stats and that one will have 8 more listens, and I'm like, okay.
They love that one.
But there's one episode that I feel like y'all hate because y'all show that episode no love at all, and it's cool. because I take that from the stats. I'm like, okay, well, what did we do wrong? And I listen to it, and I'm like, okay, let's not do that again.
Yeah.
But we appreciate the feedback. So if you have
Definitely.
feedback, give it to us. If you could leave a review, we would greatly appreciate that. We are working our hardest on audio and editing. It's hard, guys. It's hard, guys. I have a whole other podcast where I have to read off a script, and it's horrible. Oh my gosh, my last week's episode was so horrible. I want to send everybody a apology card. I might even take that one off the air because, Lord, I was butchering the English language. Like, you would think English was my third language. Like, I was listening to it earlier today, and I was just like, yeah, the rest, that's not a word.
Yeah.
You invented that word. That's not the proper term. That's not a thing. It was horrible. But it's okay. We're working on it. Give us time. Give us opportunity. Over time, we'll learn and we'll do better.
We'll get there.
Anything else, Nique?
No, just share. Please comment. Let us know if we're doing good, doing bad. Just like, share, and comment. That's all.
Yes. Please, please, please share. All right, guys. We will see you next Thursday. You guys have a great weekend. Stay safe.
Yes.
Corona is still a thing.
Yes.
So while you're staying safe, like, maybe don't go to the club without mask.
Please wear your mask. Be safe. Please. Distance.
Look, y'all, I'm trying to travel out the country for my birthday. If y'all could just do y'all part. Like, that's all I'm asking for my birthday.
Just trying to make it there.
Yeah, so I'm allowed to leave and come back. That would be awesome. Okay? All right, guys, have a good one, and we'll see you next week.